Okay, so I'm going to talk about three commands today, and one is uh, vmstat. Okay, this is a very important command in the Linux, and there's another one which is iostat. Okay, and the another commands which we have is mpstat. Okay, so
vmstat, mpstat.
yeah, vmstat, iostat, and mpstat. Okay, now this is basically these three commands. We use it for monitoring Linux performance. And let me tell you here, for each interview in DevOps, okay, these commands, if they'll ask you the Linux, they will ask you these questions. How do you manage Linux performance? Okay, so that is a
Mhm.
so these are the
Okay.
important commands. Now there are other commands also there like a free, uptime, so many other commands are also there, but primarily this is a very important. So here VM, IO and MP. Okay. So VM
Mhm.
stat, IO stat, stat means statistics, IO means input output, VM means virtual memory, and MP means memory plus performance stat. Okay, so these are the three important commands which you have. Now I will share with you some reference for future use. When you practice it, you'll get it. So this is the VM stat tutorial which you can refer it. Now this is MP stat. Okay, this is the one, and
Mhm.
this is the iostat. Now this is something which you can refer it after while practicing it. So let's get started
Okay.
discussing about this. So
So
now
you
first,
said IO is input operations, is it?
yeah, input output together.
Oh, input output. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Input output.
So
Okay.
yeah, so let me log into my machines first, and I would like you to show you this one. So log into root and Rajesh123. That's a password. This is my CentOS VM, I guess, if I'm not wrong. So how do you check with whether it's CentOS, Ubuntu, or something else? How do you check that? Any commands? Do you know?
Oh, the CD mode,
Just remember
the
this
grep.
command. Uname.
Mhm.
Okay. So uname
Mhm.
hyphen a. A for all. Okay. So uname and all. So what is operating system? Kernel Linux. What is the host name? This one. What is the version of your kernel? Is this one. And this is the date and all. Yeah, timestamp. This is the architecture what you have, and this is the GNU Linux. So there's a different kind of Linux. This is a GNU Linux. So this is the way
Mhm.
you can check that. Okay, there's one more file which we have, etc proc. Uh, there's so many files actually. So here you have a CPU info and all. Uh, more proc CPU info. So this is the info about your CPU. Okay. So if you should just spend some time with this directory proc. Okay, and here you
Mhm.
have a C groups information, CPU info, device info. Here you have, IO mem input output memory. Here you have a memory info, some more page info you have here. vmstat you have here. So vmstat. Okay, you see here. So more proc vmstat. You see here, these are the, it's pretty huge information actually. We need to understand in a simple way. So I'll just teach you. So that is also you can do that. So just spend some time here. So vmstat, here you have um, input output memory, you know, here you have.
Mhm.
So spend some time here in this file. Though I know that you'll not be able to understand much of it. In fact, I am not able to understand this version, the one which I showed you file. But I will understand this one easily. See here. So this is the vmstat. Okay, so this we can understand easily. And whatever earlier I showed you the file, that is
Mhm.
in a proper format is this one, which is very easy to understand. Now you will ask me what is R, what is B, what is swap, what is free, what is buffer, cache, SI, SO. So I will ask you to refer this always. vmstat hyphen health. See here. So just second. Clear the screen.
Mhm.
Help and vmstat, enter. So here R means what? So R, B and swapped. So
Mhm.
here free swap swpd means swap memory. What is swap memory? R means I'm not able to recall, but I'll tell you in some time. Swap means what? So what happens in every laptop? You have a some memory. Let's say my laptop has 16 GB RAM memory. But sometime what happens when you run a process, then memory of 16 GB is I mean you need a more memory than what you have. So what do we do in this case? Then in that case there is a mechanism in which we call it swap memory. So swap memory basically what happens uh, they store the data, that means the operating system store the data in the disk actually, where they store the data in the disk. So that is called swap memory. Right now in the my VM, how many swap memory you have? Zero. So it depends on how much swap memory you will have it, that you can do that. So for example, now you'll say, okay, so how can I enable the swap memory? So Linux enable swap. Okay.
Memory.
Yeah. So now this is the some command here you have to enable that. Okay. So you have to do the root and all, and you can create a swap memory. So this few commands you have to run to enable the swap memory. Okay. You can also disable the swap memory. So how can you disable the swap memory? So disable. Okay. So when you disable the swap memory, this is the file which uh, this is the file in Kubernetes. When you install, no, you have to disable the swap memory. So this is the one command which you have to run. But you know what, this sometimes this command is not working, so we have to go to this
Mhm.
file and disable the swap. Okay, so this is also you can do that. So this is swap memory. Now how many free memories you have? So this much of free is somewhere close, it's some bytes, so somewhere is close to 5 GB RAM, actually 5.8 GB RAM. How much buffer you have? This much, very simple, cache you have and all. Now what is this SI, SO, BI, BO, NCS and blah blah blah? So for that understanding this all setup is memory related. So it's easy to understand, correct? Swap, free, buffer and cache, correct now? Hello?
Yep. Yeah, I'm getting you.
Now these two
Even
entry,
though it's hard
uh,
to understand, but I'm
yeah, these two entries for the swap input, swap output. These all are set
Mhm.
0 because here I set the 0. Here IO, these are the two entry BIBO. Okay, so here this
Mhm.
is the input for block input, block output. So that is something which you have. Now this is a system. Here you have a two entries for system, and this is for CPU. Now best way to understand is to uh, let me access my tutorial here. and open up one page, enter. Hmm. So here you can see SI means swapped in every second from disk in kilobytes. This is the SI. Swap input, swap output. Swapped output out every second to disk in kilobytes. Okay. So
Mhm.
this is something which you have here. Now, few things we'll understand, and that is R and B here. So the one which
Mhm.
you saw here, R and B. So R, which is stand for the number of process waiting for runtime. Number of process
Mhm.
waiting for runtime means sometime what happens, you have lots of load on the system and the process is waiting for the runtime. That means allocation of the CPU is not done. So that means it will be representing in the R. So right now it's a 1. And here B means number of process in uninterruptible sleep. That means how many processes which you have which is in sleep process but also is uninterruptible, and that is B, which is 0. So in my case, in my lab, in my VM, uh, R means 2. That means there are two process which is waiting at that time for execute, and CPU they are able to waiting for the CPU, and the B means uninterruptible process which you have none. So what to do? So what you can do, there is one command which you can run, and this will run multiple times, which is called vmstats 2 and 6. Here what you are saying, you run x, 2 means uh, x second, and n number of time means uh, run every 2 seconds, okay, and
Mhm.
for 6 times. So this will keep changing. So now if you see that here, clear the screen. Oh, sorry, iostat. Oh no, vmstat. So go for the vmstat here. So now see here, 2. So now you can see the performance of your operating system. So right now there's no much use actually. There's no load actually altogether. So that is the
Mhm.
way you can see that. So are you able to understand this here?
Yeah, I'm getting it. Even though it's hard, but I'm understand a little bit
Yeah. So
after
now,
what you said. Yeah.
yeah. So here you need to understand this CPU. So here us CI ID WA and ST. So this is written in short, and how you can get it. This using, there are lots of reading. I don't want to show you so much of things. You'll get confused. So
That's correct.
yeah. So vmstat. Just a second. Give me 2 seconds. I'll show you one table which is very important to understand, and that table should be uh, here it is. Yeah. So I think this is the good image, and so hmm. So see here, this is the nice one. So now you can understand the this one easy way. So let me, yeah. So now if you see that in system, that's a two properties you have, in and cs. So in means interrupts rage per second. That means in the system, did we have any interruptions raged per second?
Interruptions.
And then cs
Mhm.
means context switches per second. So these all are the health of the, RAM and CPU which you are getting it. Now US means the one which you see under the CPU. US means percentage of time spent running user space code. User space code means the moment you log in, okay, to
Mhm.
system, so that you log into the user space. Okay, that's called user space. So any number of
Mhm.
process which you run, that percentage of time spent running. So here right now for me, US is 1. So that means total process which I run in this VM, out of total capacity, only 1% I have consumed. Now SY means percentage of time spent running the kernel code. Means in the
Mm-hmm.
operating system you have a kernel, right? So what is the total capacity of memory you have, and out of which how much you have spent for the kernel code. That is the now here percentage of time for the spent idle. So how much the system idle percentage of time. So 99% of the system is idle. That means that's the reason the utilization is your 1%. And here way means wa means percentage of time spent blocked while waiting for input and output to complete. Okay, so waiting is
Mm-hmm.
something. This machine is just now I started, so it has nothing to run. Now next one which you see here, go up, and here you have st which is under coming under the uh, cpu only. So that is means st means percentage of time where the cpu had a process ready for run, but percentage of time where the cpu had a process to ready to run, but cpu time was stolen by hypervisor supporting virtual machines. So is it stolen by hypervisor? So zero. That means your hypervisor is not stealing your capacity of RAM. Okay, so that way you also you can get the information done. So this is the simple way to find out how is your virtual memory is performing, and you can see that free, buffer, cache, swapped, and input output, how much total overall performance of the memory you can get it like this.
Mm-hmm.
Are you understanding?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a one command which you can use it. Again, in one day, it will not impact you. But once you start working in the Linux a lot, you are managing hundreds of server and some of the servers are behaving very odd. That way, this command will definitely help you to understand that overall status of memory utilizations and who's utilizing, whether kernel, user, or hypervisor, or some stuck memory, all these things you can use it very nicely. Got it?
Okay. Mm, yeah.
Yeah, so right now in this statics I see that everything is free. 99% of my system is idle actually. You can also see the free command, so free hyphen h, because probably you will understand the m and g in better way. So here you can also get the something similar. See, this is the cache and buffer. Here shared memory, used memory out of 6 GB, free memory available. So this is a simple one, but this is the detailed one.
Mm-hmm.
Uptime also you can use this command. Since how many hours your system is running. So my system is running from last 36 minutes or something. So this is the this is the vmstat. Now next command which you have is, let me open up new console, and that is called iostats. Iostat.
iostat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just run multiple times, so let me run it. Clear the screen. iostat run for every 2 seconds 10 times. The spelling mistake. Okay. See, iostat is not there in my machine. So this utility is not there. mpstat is there. Is not there. So no problem. vmstat is there. You can install the iostats. If any utility is not there, you can install it. So iostat, how can I install it? So for that, I will ask, so yum install iostat. These are the utility. Sometime you, most of the time you have it, but if it's not having, you can install it. So I'm just checking what is the command to install. Okay, so this command is SysAdmins, this utility. So let me
Mm-hmm.
install it, SysAdmins, and that will get me probably all this iostat and all. So okay, so here if I install the this one, so it will get me all the tools which is related to iostat and all stuff like that. It's taking time, let it happen. So what is iostat? So let's get it. Iostats command is a Linux command, is used for monitoring system input and output statistics for device and partition. Remember that. So
Okay.
input
Mhm.
output means what? So see, you are giving input. How can you give input? So you are giving input through the keyboard, and you are giving input through the mouse. And how you
Mhm.
get output? So output you get it through, mm,
Printer.
I mean, a screen. Screen is output also, right? Printer definitely
Okay.
is output device. Yeah, but screen is the one
Mhm.
which you use it all the time. So these are the input and
Okay.
output. And then where the data is been written, so it's written in the some disk also, right?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
here out input and output device. So here using this command, you can monitor that. If lots of input, lots of output is happening, so you can monitor it and then you can see the performance of it. So that is the
Mhm.
important using input and output. So see here it's got installed. Now if I try it, iostats is there, and you see here iostats is there. So in iostats, if you look at this, these are some of the system information. Now here average CPU, percentage of user, nice system, input output weight, stealing, how much CPU, how much CPU is being stolen by the wrong process, so 0%. How much CPU is idle, here you have it. So, and these are the devices I'm having in my machines. Okay, DM0, DM1, SD, and all stuff. These are the devices. So, what is the read kb read per second, kb kilobytes read per second, read
Mhm.
write, kb read and kb write. So these are the things. So this way you can understand this IO stats better way. There are few additional informations also, I mean commands you can pass it to understand the input and output. So for example, I just install it now. What is this? This is pop-up. Okay, let me go to some other page. Huh. So here, see here, what is this? Uh, just a second. Hmm. So here, user
Is that
nice
a type
system.
button?
Yeah. So what is this? So user basically show the percentage of CPU utilization that occurred while executing at the user level. User level means, let's say I logged in
Mhm.
as a user like a root or maybe some Rajesh. So that way it will
Mhm.
give me the percentage of CPU utilizations. Now nice
Mhm.
means the second option which you see, nice 0% for me it's there. So nice which will show you the percentage of CPU utilization that has occurred while executing at the user level with nice property, a nice priority. So nice basically is a command to run the jobs with the priority. This is Linux command actually.
Mhm.
It will nice command Linux. So this will help you to prioritize the some of the process. See here. Uh,
Okay.
nice Linux command in Linux helps in executions of program process with modified scheduling priority. In Windows also we do that. Set the priority. Let me show you. So you'll remember that. This is the task manager. You know that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So in the task manager, if you go and see the processes, it's taking a little time for me. And here you right click and see here you can assign the memory, percentage of value, disk, network. So you can prioritize this one also in the Linux also. In the details, if you go, you will find little bit better. Here, let's say this is the one, and here you are setting the priority. You are giving low priority, below normal, normal, above normal, high,
So,
real time. So
so,
how do you do in the Linux? You do through the nice commands. Okay,
mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
So that is a something. Where is that command? I missed it. Ha, nice. Now, what is the system system options will show you. So, show the percentage of CPU utilization that occurred while executing at the system, which is kernel level. So, this is the percentage of CPU utilization that occurred during the kernel level. Now,
Mhm.
IU wait show the percentage of time. the CPU or CPUs
It's
were at
running.
idle during which the system had an outstanding disk input output request. So this will be giving you the CPU call of that when it was outstanding some writing disk, some input output and stuff like that. This will show you the percentage of time spent in involuntarily wait by the virtual CPU or CPU while the hypervisor was servicing other virtual processor. Okay, so this is the stealing by the your hypervisor like a VMware and or something like that, and this is the idle one.
Mhm,
Okay, so here iostats, what you can get it. So understand that VM means virtual memory. Which are the utilizations of virtual memory? You can see through the VM
mhm,
stat. Iostats, you can see the utilization of CPU. Okay,
mhm.
and where the
Yeah.
real utilization is happening, you can see in the detail. Who's using your CPU? That is a something which we have. Now, last command which we have is mpstats. Okay,
Mhm,
so mpstats basically it will give you commands to write a standard output activities for each available processors. Okay, processors,
mhm,
the one which you have. So that will help you in terms of mpstats. So let me show you for this here. So this is the again system stats I installed. So mpstats you will have it. Oh, this really annoying. Let me go to some different one. Okay, so here just read this mpstat command collect and display what? Performance metrics of what? For all the logical processors in the system. So there are multiple processors in the system. So this will
mhm,
give you the performance statistics for the logical processors. So let me show you mpstats which is already installed. So mpstat enter. Now you can see every 2 seconds and 30 times I want to run it. So let me
mhm.
clear the screen. See here. So now let it run one by one. And you see here. So CPU, different processes, whichever you are running, you are able to understand here. So
Yep. Mhm,
nice, idle, steel, soft, hierarchy, IO wait, system. So right now processors are not consuming too much. Why? Because I'm not running any systems in the VM. So that's the reason you see idle every time, almost close to 99%. So that way you can understand that what are the processors is being used and so on. So this is the something which you have it. So this way you can track the processors. I am running
mhm.
30 times, but monitoring tool run indefinitely and get you that all this information and so on. Okay, so this is the three commands to check the the
The
performance of
performance.
your performance of Linux in terms of virtual memory, in terms of CPU, in terms of processors, the performance and all stuff like that, everything in detail. This
Mhm,
these commands will be helpful for you only and only when really you are troubleshooting one of the machines because of lack of CPU or lack of RAM and stuff like that. You want to know why this machine is occupying so much of memory and so much of CPU. Let's say you are running in the production servers and you have hundreds of servers, and suddenly one server is behaving anomaly. That means is behaving little different. So now you want to know why this server is behaving little different. What is the problem in the server? Is it the CPU issues,
mhm.
RAM issue, input output issues, and processors issues and stuff like that? So you'd like to know all this information, and for that, this command will help you. Understood?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand that very well. So yeah, if I can, go over it, you say you use VM, IU, and MP to troubleshoot the performance of a server. Let's
Yes.
say a server not running properly, it has a problem. These are the commands that you can use to
Yes.
check the performance, the runtime, and any problem that is happening in the machine, the server.
Yeah, so you can say like that. Okay, so if someone will ask you a question, hey, how do you troubleshoot the Linux performance? Then you can say, hey, I know few commands which we use daily on daily basis. For example,
Mhm,
free. For example, free, the one which I run it. Up. Okay.
Mhm.
Up is not more working. No problem. Top. Okay, so these are the commands which you use on daily basis. But if you want to dive into the real problem, why this CPU is being used, processors is being used more, why this RAM is being used more, and why the who's consuming your CPU and memory, whether input some devices like block storage and storage is consuming, or some device is consuming. So for that we have to use the vmstat. Vmstat will help us to gather the all the memory utilizations, virtual memory utilizations of the Linux server. mpstats will help us for the processes utilizations by the system, and iostats will help us in terms of CPU utilizations of the system. So that way we can